As a long-time Marvel fan, there comes a time in a fan's life where you kind of got to swallow your pride and look at the other team and say, you know what, you did that. This is not one of those times. Injustice. All right. I'm gonna feel real bad about this because being a Marvel fan, whenever anything comes out for DC, if you don't like it, automatically it's kind of assumed that you just don't rock with DC, and it's not even like that. But well, let's just talk about it. So, Injustice is an adaptation of the Injustice video game and the tie-in comics. I should probably preface this by saying I never read the comics. I played both games in their entirety. If I did hold it in high esteem, it was definitely the first one more than the second one. So, how is the long-awaited animated adaptation of Injustice? Off rip, you have an opening scene that I think captures the world that you're going to be in very well. Superman, who, through a series of unfortunate events, loses his wife Lois and his unborn child at the hands of the Joker, and he kills the Joker in retribution, and that sends him down a very dark path where he basically becomes tyrannical. If this movie had come out 10 years ago, hell, if this movie had come out 5 years ago, I think it would have fared a lot better. That's probably the biggest thing working against this movie. Now, the evil Superman is kind of played out. You have your Brightburn, you have your Homelander from The Boys, you have your Omni-Man from The Invincible. So after the initial shock value of the evil Superman in this movie, which really isn't all that shocking except for the fact that you've never particularly seen Superman doing this, you've just seen Superman adjacent characters doing this, that's really the only card this movie has to play. Generally speaking, this movie feels very rushed in all aspects. Now, I get it; it's a 90-minute movie. You have a lot of material that you need to squeeze into 90 minutes, but at the expense of making sure all of the character motivations are well fleshed out and making sure all the interactions are believable, so we can root for or root against these characters. I don't think that's a particularly good idea, and because of how fast paced this movie was going and how quickly everybody had to get into what position, I think that it suffered from a lot of left behind syndrome. It is hard knowing that there are certain characters who have importance in the original story that don't seem to get that importance in the movie. Uh, Shazam, for to name one example, Lex Luthor to name another. One character who's in this movie who does not get the time he got in the game, and another character who's just not there at all. The evil Superman, it always rests on their motivation. You look at Homelander, and you can buy that he is as twisted as he is in the boys because he genuinely does not have human connection. He doesn't see them as equals, so he doesn't care what happens to them. You look at Omni Man and Invincible. He has this like pride in his home world in Viltrum, and he believes he's here with a divine purpose, essentially. So he can convince himself that the things he's doing is right. With Superman has always upheld humans in a higher and life in general in a higher regard than what you see in this movie. And a momentary lapse of judgment and anger to motivate him killing the Joker is believable. But as quickly as everything transpires, is it believable that he will go from killing the Joker and retribution and what he defines as justice to murdering children? Because that is the thing that happens in this movie. Spoilers. I don't believe that at all. Everybody kind of just jumps into their starting position so fast. They touch on the fact that Batman has been violating trust in some pretty egregious manners, but you don't really get enough time to like address that at all. Like they pretty much leave that completely alone, even though he's been spying on people, even though he's been collecting data, even though he's very clearly corrupted by his pursuit of justice. There's a scene between Mr. Terrific and Superman that basically covers slippery slope theory. And, it's a great conversation, or it's the great start to what could be a great conversation, but they don't really address it much. I mean, you see Superman going down that path. The length of the movie and the depth of which they carry the concepts are not worthy of the ambition of the concepts they're trying to tackle. Let's talk about the ending, and I'm going to completely spoil the ending right now. So if you don't want to get spoilers on the ending, Leaf. Mr. Terrific kind of touches on the idea of the multiverse. In the original Injustice story, the multiverse is a huge part of the story, and all of these different variations of characters are running around. That's why their motivations are so mysterious. You're trying to figure them out, and they're believable because a lot of times they're not suggesting that the character that you've come to know is doing something that is quote unquote out of character for them. A different variant of that character from a different world who's coming from different circumstances is doing what is seemingly out of character. So it's easier to swallow. So this movie acknowledges the multiverse, and as soon as they did that, I knew why they were just kind of jamming it in there, because the original story ends with them finding an alternate Superman to fight Dictator Superman. And in this movie, they do the same thing. They use the multiverse to get another Superman and to get another Lois with an unborn child. The idea is that her Superman died, whereas in this world, the Superman's Lois died. So, she kind of talks him out of doing whatever. But and the fight is okay. There's a huge climax with Amazo. Superman teams up with Ra's al Ghul to bring order and justice to the world, and of course Ra's al Ghul turns on him. Oh my God, Ra's is secretly evil. Why isn't this the Superman versus Superman fight? Why didn't we just do that as the climax? Because when they beat Amazo and Superman comes through to fight evil Superman, it feels super just like thrown in there. Like, yo, we didn't get our Superman fight. We have to make that happen. Fight between Superman and Superman could have been a lot like that. But you already played your best hand with the Amazo fight. Generally speaking, I like the DC animated material. It's usually fire. This wasn't fire. It wasn't horrible. It was so meh. It was like high key mid. And I'm used to DC animated material being a lot better than mid. If you like DC, I think you'll have fun with the movie. But if you have a really soft spot for Injustice, the series, this movie's gonna let you down. And also, I don't really think it's accessible to non-DC fans. Like, you can't use this as a jumping on point because it's kind of an Elseworld story. It's not the traditional representation of these characters, so it doesn't really give you a good foothold on them moving forward. But if you are in the world and you're whatever about Injustice, maybe you never played it, or maybe you just don't care, you're just here for a semi decent DC movie, I got one for you. It's called Red Sun, and it's awesome. Just watch that. But let me know what you think about Injustice. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you so about it? Do you like the games? Have you played the games? Have you read the comics? Are you looking for a sequel? Do you want to hear me keep talking? Do you want me to shut up? Let me know. Leave a comment, like, share the video, subscribe if you would like to, and I'll be back later to talk about more nerd stuff. Alright, later.